Hey everybody, this is Brandon Witt. Thanks for joining us today on the Novel Approach, and thanks to the Novel Approach for letting us come on. I have a new book coming out, The Imperfection of Swans, in 2 or 3 days, the 18th of January. And I'm here today with my best friend Kevin Eksterowicz. You have seen his face on the cover of the book, and a lot of the events, not really the events, but a lot of the personality of Kevin in the book comes from Kevin in real life. So Kevin's joining us today, and Alistair is too. He wanted to jump up, so who knows what will happen in this interview. So I guess we'll start off, Kev. I know this was a while coming, but what was it like having a book being written about you?
It was weird.
As is this interview.
Yeah. No, it was weird because, you kind of stop and think to yourself, am I really that interesting that there should really be a book written about me? But knowing me, it didn't take long before I was like, well, I should probably then have a reality show. Or they should turn this into a movie. And I should star in it. So it didn't take me long from going from... am I really that interesting to I should really be famous because of it. So,
he's actually not lying about that. We had a whole wedding shop reality show planned. Which still might happen.
I still plan on pitching it to Bravo or Logo or something. So yeah.
Good. So you're ready to be a star.
Well, duh.
You hear that, people? Make him a star. And me along with him. So, for those of you that haven't read the blurb of The Imperfection of Swans yet, and not really sure what it's about, in addition to it being about a man going for his dreams and opening a wedding dress shop, it's also about a struggle of anxiety and an eating disorder, and kind of coming to terms with that, which came directly from your life. And I know that's a pretty big thing to all of a sudden, hey, here it is in a book. Read this world. Were there any hesitations or worries about that?
Yeah, for sure. Interestingly enough, I think initially when you had told me the title of the book, I didn't think much about it, and we haven't talked much about, like, where did the title come from. But when I think about it, the way that I perceive the title of the book, I just assumed, is that, people look at someone or an instance, and they look at the outside and the facade that might be up, right? And they might say, oh, he's attractive, and he comes from a great supportive family, and he has a handsome husband, and he has a great, professional career, and they take that at face value, and they don't know much beyond the surface, right? And then, so it was a chance for me to say, yeah, things can look great. And people, you might have gone to school with people, been really good friends with people you think are perfect. But you have no idea what they're struggling with a little bit deeper, a little bit beyond the surface. And so it was a little bit scary for me. And I even took a minute and went, gosh, did I even talk to my parents about the fact that I had an eating disorder? And I lived with them through high school, and I lived with them through college. And, hindsight is 20/20, and I think back and say, there's no way I could have been bulimic and them not have known it. But then I also think, as parents, you don't want to see that. So maybe they didn't see it because they didn't want to. So I had to actually step back and go, hey, Mom, Dad, Brandon's writing this book. It's kind of loosely based on me, and there's some touchy subjects.
Surprise!
And they didn't act surprised. So I'm okay, I probably did tell them about it. But it was a lot of, again, a lot less about how does it affect me, and more of, how does it affect my family or people who are close to me if sort of my dirty laundry's out there a little bit and I'm not as perfect as people think I am. But at the end of the day, if there are people who are going through anything similar to what I went through and what maybe my story could help them, God, why the hell not? I'm not so special. I'm not some big deal that I can't, expose my vulnerability. So, I don't know, it seemed like the right time. I will say this. I see this picture of myself on the book, and I'm like, that's the best picture of me ever. And it's maybe not me every day, and it might be 15 or 20 pounds ago, and I had anxiety about that. I'm like, Brandon, that's not really what I look like right now. And people are going to look at that picture and say, oh, that guy's not 38. Or Brandon asked me to do an interview with him, and I'm like, Brandon, do people ever see the cover of the book? And then they go, that's the guy from the cover of the book? And again, like, all of my insecurities come in, like, and I just, there's no rhyme or reason, and I can't wrap my hands around them. I want to wrap my hands around it and strangle it most of the time. But it's crazy how, like, I mean, just today, what should I wear? And I should probably get my hair cut, and gosh, I should probably spray tan so that I look a little bit thinner in the video. And it's just, I think, I'm totally going on a tangent now, but once you've dealt with it, as much as I think I've conquered it, you never escape it fully. Like, just 2 weeks ago, my husband JT said, you have body dysmorphia, and you need to, like, get over it. And it's just, you can't. It's just...
It's not a switch.
Yeah.
Totally. That makes total sense, and I know that, well, we talked about several things getting ready for the book, but one of them being, I was worried that this book might trigger you even more, and in some ways it sounds like it kind of does, which makes sense. And going back to the title, The Imperfection of Swans, there's not too many swans in the book, so I just kept picturing you as gold for some reason, and the tarnish of gold, and it just never seemed to fit. But for some reason, there's this lake or pond or whatever in Boston where you ride these...
Oh, yes.
The swan boats.
Yeah. Boston Commons.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Stephen, my boyfriend, was doing a travel nurse job there, and I went there, and we rode that boat. And while we were riding it, there were actual real swans swimming around, and one was nesting on the bank, and they're just so beautiful and perfect. So that's kind of where it came from, is this illusion of perfection and beauty, but what's beneath.
I kind of think in the book about my ex-husband, who is
Right.
based off of someone I dated, right? And
We're not saying who,
no.
but you know if you read it.
But again, you look at that man and you're like, wow, holy smokes, like perfection. And I, again, even dating him, I don't think I even scratched the surface of all the crazy beneath. But you know it's there.
Yeah. So as you can see, Alistair has abandoned us. Hopefully you're still hanging in, because we got quite a bit more to go. But Kevin is one of the lucky people in the world that's gotten to read The Imperfection of Swans. You can join his world in about 2 or 3 days. But since you've read it, what was it like, since it's about you, seeing so much real life in there, but then a whole bunch of fiction thrown in? What was that experience like?
It was a little weird. Honestly, it caught me by surprise on an emotional level. There were certain things that you covered, and you covered them really well because you know me so well, that were kind of powerful. And I was reading the book, luckily by myself, in our loft with some wine. And I was in tears a couple of times because there are a couple of things that just really hit home. And it's just interesting to hear them from a different perspective of the one that you lived. So there were a couple of times where I was emotionally moved, and I sort of had to, like, stop, do something else and come back to the book. Which was, I didn't expect that. I just was like, oh, I looked through it. Yeah, what could be surprising to me? And just sort of the way that you described them was so dead on that it was powerful. And I'm like, wow, that was me. I'm like, I don't know if it was because I didn't like that I was that vulnerable, or I don't like the way that it affected other people, or I don't know, something. But that caught me by surprise. And then the levity was you working in some fiction. It's like some fun things that I'm like, oh, where's this going to go? Like, I don't know where this is going to go. And they typically went in, like, fun places. And the way that you would describe the wedding dress shop, again, knowing me so well, you described, like, the exact perfect wedding dress shop that I would want to have. And the way things would be laid out, and the ceilings and the exposed brick. I just kind of got lost in my own little fairy tale of, like, what I want my life to turn out to be. So it was kind of a really fun balance of emotional and hard-hitting and kind of light and aspirational.
Cool. That's fun to hear. We haven't talked about that.
We haven't talked about it. You need
cool.
to be more available.
Yay. Wow. Guilt trip.
I said that. Yeah, I said that. Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm. I'm up some wine, too.
See? So, yeah, perfect segue. You think we can plan that. Are you coming back up?
Come on, Alistair. Oh,
no,
that was too quick
so
movement.
He's not coming back.
Sorry.
Apparently.
I'm very scary.
So, why wedding dresses? I know in the book, young Kevin, that was kind of his salvation from anxiety and eating disorder. I don't think that was actually yours.
Yeah.
But what is the appeal and what's the dream about for you?
There's something, and and people keep asking me this lately, the more and more it comes up in conversation. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's something about wedding dresses. They're just so crisp, right? And there's just like this innocence, and they're just so, depending on, designer and whatever form they take, they're just so beautiful. And then when you take it to the next level, it's supposed to be the biggest day and the biggest moment of a woman's life and the most beautiful that they can ever be, right?
Yeah.
It's like the one day that they get to focus on them and their beauty and the way they look. And it's just knowing that that's something that so many women dream of, and to be like a small piece of that, and to help them find that one dress that's going to be sort of their like postcard of like their beauty and like the prime of their life. There's something really, really cool about that. And I think I personally have a knack for just helping people find things that
you do,
that sort of flatter them or bring out their best qualities. So it just seems like something that could really fill my cup really easily. Being surrounded by beautiful things and being surrounded by women who are happy and made happy because of the beautiful thing that they get to bring into their life and just sort of complete their dream. That is just, I can't imagine a better way to spend your life aside from helping people be happy. It's crazy. So, as you know, I've been working Saturdays at a local amazing bridal studio. And people keep asking me, like, how's it going? What do you think of it? And I say, I spend every Saturday smiling from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. I smile all day every Saturday. And that is such a cool thing for someone to be able to say, especially for me, because I have a job and it's a great, fulfilling, pays the bills, the kind of job that your parents are proud of. But this is like a whole other level. So
cool. I love that. I think I talked about this in another blog actually, but it was kind of fun to write this about my best friend who's write a story where he's getting to live his dreams, because for me this was my first book to write after I quit teaching. So I'm finally living my dream. It's not paying the bills yet, but I'm finally living my dream, and the first book I get to write is about my best friend hopefully getting to live his dream. So that's cool to hear you describe it like that.
Yeah, and there's so much to figure out, and it's such a big. There's just so many components of it, and there's a lot of sacrifices that might need to be made, and lots of asks of different people. But to look at it and say, I think I figured out something that fills my cup every day. Not to say that there wouldn't be stressful moments, but something that can fill your cup every day, and you can be excited about all the time, and it impacts the lives of others. That's so important to me.
Yeah,
is being able to make other people's lives better. It's something that might seem to so many people as like trivial.
Yeah,
it's a dress. Some people are so negative, but I'm like, this is something that someone dreams about their whole life,
right?
And help them find like the right one that completes their day. And they would say they come to my shop and they leave my shop on like cloud 9, and I was a part of that. Sorry, done. Like I can die now. Like what else do I need?
Yeah, I didn't really get that. I did 2 days of not an internship, but 2 days of hanging out in a wedding dress shop here in Denver, and the owner was amazing. I don't think she wants me to say her name, but she was phenomenal.
She's one of the competitors of Shop.
She will be. But I did get that just from her passion of wedding gowns and seeing brides-to-be coming in, and some so excited and some in tears and worried about the cost and worried about their bodies, and just how she and her staff took care of them.
It's a crazy thing, because even the most beautiful, perfectly formed woman will come in with her entourage, and the anxiety that they have. I'm like, oh, I get that. I get anxiety, right? And they have all these emotions, and they have all these people with their eyes focused on them. And then the moment they come out in that dress, right? Everything stops. They set, like, their anxieties go away. All the people in the room and what they think of the dress goes away. They just know in that moment, this is what I'm supposed to look like on my day, and I couldn't possibly look any better than this. And most of the time, everyone is in this weird trance, and people are in tears, and it's a crazy, surreal thing, but it's an amazing thing to think that you could be a part of on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's really cool. It totally changed my mind about, or opened my eyes to about the wedding dress idea. I hadn't really thought about it.
Mm-hmm. It just symbolizes so much.
Yeah, it seems to.
Yeah. And
in the book, your love interest, who was completely made up, Casper.
I never would date somebody named Casper.
Yeah, he didn't like that name.
I'm just kidding.
You're not kidding. You're like, Casper the ghost? And I'm like, no, it's Casper. Anyway, judgy bitch. Don't smell my couch.
I already smelled your couch at Christmas.
That's true. I don't know why I keep him around. But anyway, Casper is a baker who's dreamed of opening the bakery. And it kind of comes up that you need a renter for another floor of your wedding dress shop. Mm-hmm. So he comes up with a wedding cake, wedding dress kind of combo kind of deal.
Genius.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just going to ask if you think you would actually do that, because part of the book, you get afraid, or Kevin gets afraid, it's not really you, of the dresses smelling like wedding cake.
Yeah.
So
I
wonder if Kev would do this.
Well, first of all, they can smell worse. But second,
right.
That is a very real thing. Like, so I have this dream of opening a wedding dress shop, but then I have this dream of opening sort of a one-stop wedding. God, I can't think of I don't want to say depot. That doesn't do the right thing. But like a place where you can go and you can pick your wedding dress, and then you go next door and there's a florist, and then you go next to them and there's a bakery, and then you go next to them and there's a caterer. Like, it just seems like the most genius way.
I didn't know this.
For people, oh wait, no?
No.
Okay. It just seems like the most
awesome.
Genius way for people to spend their day. Like, they can knock out so many different pieces of their giant to-do list in one place. However, there would need to be some way for the dresses not to smell like cake, or not to smell like the florist, which would not be a bad thing.
Right, you got
but then you've got a caterer, right? And they might, like, depending on what your theme is, I don't want them to smell like curry, or I don't want the dresses to smell like lasagna. So it's this. I do have this bigger dream outside of just the inside dream of sort of a one-stop shop. But that is like a true concern. That is a very true concern.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
For any of you developers out there, this was not hashtagged, copyrighted right here. This is his idea.
Right
you
here.
Can't steal it.
Don't.
Done.
I'll make my own show with you guys. Just approach me.
Right. You can use curry, but that's it.
Yeah.
As you can see, Alistair is back under duress. But I want to thank you guys for hanging around, for learning a little bit about Kevin, my best friend, and about the book The Imperfection of Swans, which comes out January 18th, which is Monday. We're very excited.
That's you.
And not at all drunk.
No, I don't drink.
Nope, not drinking. It's all water or something. Anyway, there's pre-order links under the video in this blog. Thank you again, The Novel Approach. And Kev, thanks for letting me write a book about you and spread some of your dirty laundry, I guess, to the world.
Thank you for having an editor, because as cool as it was to read a manuscript, I had a little bit of anxiety about the number of typos. So I'm glad that Brandon has a team of editors.
And I need a team of editors. I don't read the book. It's about him. He's a bitch.
Read it. Shut your whore mouth. It's amazing. Amazing.
It's amazing.
I'm so entertaining. You should do it.
Okay. Well, before we open the next bottle of wine, I think we should call it good. We love you.
We do.
And we love you.
Say
we love you. Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
he's so shy.
I know. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.